Good morning to most, good afternoon to others, and to some of you across the pond, good evening. I am your host, Jason Miles, and welcome to another episode of This is Revolution Podcast. If you're new to the channel, please give the show a like, hit subscribe, and if you end up enjoying what you're seeing, don't forget to hit the notifications bell as we are constantly adding new episodes to the channel. We've been celebrating a few anniversaries here on This is Revolution. About a year ago, I wanted to expand the programming that we do here and started the TIR Presents on Wednesdays and Mondays. And we host and produce some shows that cover everything from sports, tabletop gaming, and movies, all from a left perspective. So again, please hit that bell so you're notified when we go live. That being said, let's bring in the Saturday crew. I know you guys missed him on Thursday. I missed him on Thursday. I thought we had a very suitable replacement. The intelligent, informative, rather attractive Jessica San Luis. Doesn't matter. I know you guys want this man. He's got his own show. That's how important he is to the channel. He's got his own show. Please welcome my homie, my dog, the man of the Mau Mau Hour. He is the Pascal Robert.
Peace and greetings to the chat. Peace and greetings to the audience. Peace and greetings, Jason Miles. You guys had a good show on Thursday, by the way. I checked it out.
Jessica's, yeah, she was a little nervous for some reason. I don't know why, because she doesn't do this podcasting thing much as she exists in the real world. But it was very, very informative, I felt. And in the champagne room, oh boy. That's all I have to say.
That's spicy?
Well, it got silly. It's bottom line, it got silly. Without you there, sometimes we need the big dad energy of Pascal Robert. We need the adult in the room. And the silliness was off the rails. Let's bring in another part of the Saturday crew. He's also becoming a bit of a celebrity in the internet left sphere. Every time I turn on YouTube, I see him as a featured guest on someone's show. He probably has the best hair here on this channel, in my opinion. It basically is all about opinion. If I was his age and still had hair, I would do everything he does with his hair. Even his cute little comb over toss he does. Son of a bitch. You guys like him. I can't stand him. He's Marcus of the left flank.
Yeah. What's up?
Marcus, you snuck in on the humble, didn't you?
I mean, well, the thing is, bringing a little raid and everything. I was able to stream and talk about shit. But thank you for the compliments. I think, yeah. But Stefan, I think between me and Stefan, as far as competing for the hair.
I thought he was announcing Stefan. That's what I was like. Hey, who is he?
No.
Stefan I did too.
White. Stefan is white, and white is not right. You guys know that. And,
but for the white audience, go after Stefan. Don't.
Yeah, the white. Yeah. Basically, I'm.
You got two options.
I'm segregating hair on this show. This is a black hair first show. I know a lot of people get mad at us because we're not about Afro pessimism, but I am about black hair. About black hair. Real black hair. The nappier, the better. When Pascal grows his hair out, it looks like ants on a bone. That being said,
I got a total George Jefferson, man. A total George Jefferson. I got a cul-de-sac. It's like a total cul-de-sac.
Speaking of hair, our next TIR co-host, contributor, partner on the channel, he does have great hair. Stefan has wonderful hair, but you know what else Stefan has? Split ends. Please welcome.
It's some gay shit that you don't even know what split hair is.
I know exactly roots put in. So you're not trimming yours. That's a problem.
Nah.
I feel like you need a fan.
Yeah.
There's a fan right here.
You should just. You should just.
Wait, I don't understand.
Don't get
this
mad
shit,
at
though.
Stefan just because his hair looks like he's always auditioning for the Bee Gees.
Stefan's hair was made for 80s softcore porn.
There it is. Oh my god!
I love it.
Oh shit!
Are you wearing Wonder Woman's bracelet right now?
What?
Or is that your
No,
watch?
it's just
Goalie.
it's that
Oh,
watch.
that's the bling.
That watch
Oh,
that you
Yeah,
went
he
on
just
about.
got a, you know,
I just saw gold
a
flash real quick. I was
1976
like,
watch. That's all.
is Stefan wearing the bulletproof bracelets?
It's like the
How rough is it right
1976
now in Nana's neighborhood?
Yeah.
Man, I watched that fucking that movie, the fucking Justice League thing, that like 6 hour, 1,000 year movie.
Oh,
And-
the
Eternals.
director's cut of the
Yeah,
Justice
yeah,
League
yeah.
movie. Yeah, the director's
Yeah,
cut.
yeah. And that shit where that fucking Israeli woman is doing the shit with the fucking the wrist thing.
Oh,
I think it's
Gal.
the Gal Gadot, yeah, is the
Gal Gadot.
goofiest scene I've seen in a movie in my whole life.
Oh, you know, I feel like I should show you a goofier scene if you have
No.
5
I don't
minutes.
want to get demonetized. Jason, you know, I've never asked you this, but does your affection for all things Marvel translate into DC movies?
It can. The old ones when I was a kid, more so the cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're not a fan of like the whole Justice League, all of these efforts.
The new
Oh,
stuff I haven't really watched. It's not really interesting. I'd much rather watch the cartoon. Like, meanwhile at the Legion of Doom. I'd rather watch that cartoon and eat cereal in my underwear than watch the new movie.
Batman animated series is probably the best iteration on screen of Batman ever.
Batman, and I actually just put in my queue because my HBO here in Mexico is a little different. The Batman show,
the original.
the original show from the 60s. Yeah.
Oh dang!
Yeah.
I used to really love that show when I was. a kid.
Oh,
I believe
man.
it.
I think I told you I lived with my grandma when I was really young, and she would record shows for me when she so
Aw.
she would record those old Batmans for me so I didn't miss them while I was at school. They came on.
And that's the one that literally had the bam. And
Yeah.
like,
What I appreciate about that is that Batman was not ripped, and you could tell that he did not skimp on asking for seconds. Right?
Oh no, he had the epitome of dad bod.
Yeah, yeah. And that real Adam West was knee deep in this era. So I'm trying to bring back Adam West chic with this look I have right now.
Bad bod.
This
Hell
is
yeah.
Adam West on a hiatus coke bender. It's the look I'm going for. But Stefan, I wanted to play this for Pascal because he missed this, and I know a lot of people watching the show right now didn't get a chance to see this because we kept this behind a paywall. And I watched a movie when I was a young man. Oh,
Oh,
you know what? You're right, and it's because you're a woman. But I
Yeah.
forgot to introduce maybe the most important person in the show. Behind every strong podcast, there's a strong moderator,
yes.
and that person is the silent voice of, or the faceless voice of reason, M. Toussaint.
Thank you.
I apologize, Toussaint. I apologize. I did look over you because of your.
May all the vaginas in your life go on strike.
Whoa!
You know
Yeah.
what?
Call
You know
for
what, Toussaint?
You'd be surprised how many people love to crack.
it. He made it a sound clip. Oh my
my
god,
gosh.
Jason, you need help. Jason, you need help.
Well, Marcus, if you think I need help because of that, I'm going to raise you this. I watched a movie that I'm sure you and Stefan have never seen. If Pascal has seen it, I might not be that surprised because these movies were very popular in the 90s on cable. There's a filmmaker named Andy Sidaris, and he had a series of movies that he called 3Bs: bullets, babes, and bombs. That's all these movies had. Boobs for no reason, bunch of explosions for no reason, and lots of women kind of also for no reason. But there's a scene.
There's no reason for a woman to be in a movie.
Why do you? But I played this for the patrons on Thursday night, and I figured I would fuck with Pascal and Marcus with this. And since Stefan said that Wonder Woman was the most ridiculous thing he's ever seen in a movie, I was like, oh boy, do I need to show you Cinemax between 1991 and 1998. But this movie is called Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
My
It already
God.
looks great.
And all you need to know is there's good guys and bad guys. That's all you need to know.
There's a
So
good
I'm gonna
guy.
play this for you real quick. Marcus, don't get triggered. This may remind you of your time in the service.
Here's the gun, skater. Blow him away.
Nope, baby.
Look out, he's got a gun.
Oh, God.
Jade, how bad you hit?
I've been better, but I'll live.
Let's get that turkey.
Let's get that turkey. Oh, my God.
Jesus Christ.
And the fucking girl.
The bazooka, Rowdy?
It's the only gun I can hit a moving target with.
If you get
Oh.
shot in the chest and you don't shrug it off, you're a pussy.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I could hardly function. The realism to combat.
I've had more blood in a paper cut than what that guy had.
Jessica said he got shot in the nipple.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. It looked like it was just like he just like knocked the tip off his nipple and it just bled a little bit, you know?
Pascal, do you remember that movie?
No, because it's triggering me now, and I know what it triggers.
When the skateboarder gets hit, I laugh really hard, but when dude pulls out just randomly under the seat the 4-barrel rocket launcher.
Yeah, was that based on any actual real gun?
It could be. Like literally cannot be.
4
I'm
barrels.
pretty sure if
Someone in
you...
chat was saying it was just like a load of PVC pipes glued
Yeah.
together, and that's
Right.
obviously true. But then is that like based on anything?
I'm
don't know.
pretty sure if you actually tried to fire something like that, like
Yes.
you just blow yourself up. Like,
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was
Yeah,
kind of
you were
like
right.
presumably the car would set on fire, you know? Like,
Right.
yeah.
This is the meanest comment. That's how Shinzo Abe shooter got.
did you see that shit? The gun
Yeah.
he had?
Wild. Wild. I can't stop thinking about that gun. Absolutely insane.
Gun.
He had like a
It had a battery and a piece of wood.
Yeah, scariest gun in Japan.
They say it's a security failure, but it was like, how the fuck? Like, it was like it's some dude cosplaying or some shit. I don't know what video game. Oh, that's real. Like, I'm saying I would also make that mistake as a security guard.
Do you know how many gun deaths Japan had last year, including gun suicides?
Just one? Is this
Six.
six?
I
Jesus.
can't even drink the coffee.
So it's like impossible to get a gun in Japan,
Yeah.
Yes.
except for the guy who killed the former president.
Well,
Well,
he didn't get it. Like,
Yeah.
Who apparently he could
he
tape it
glued that
together
shit
in his
together.
Yeah. But like it's also it's extremely difficult to like purchase one, but even to like have one in public. Like that's where it's like extremely rare to see a gun in public.
Yeah, like the guys that were tackling him didn't have guns.
Yeah. Yeah. Most cops in Japan don't have guns.
Japan is where they roll you into a burrito. Is that right?
What?
I mean,
Stop.
like,
Japan
They
is
don't
like
have
a hard
guns.
ticket to Hawaii?
They get like some emergency blanket and roll you into a burrito.
huh? I mean, I never saw.
I mean, you have to do something to, they don't have guns.
That's how the kind of like Mongols and other Turkic people would like kill noblemen who you weren't allowed to spill the blood of. They would wrap them in a big carpet and beat them to death.
Oh.
But as long as no blood touched the floor, it was fine.
Well,
That's
before
cool.
we go down the rabbit hole of horror movie killings, of beating people in sleeping bags, like fucking Jason versus Freddy.
Oh yeah.
We don't tend to talk about Mexico too much. And before we even start, as a resident of Mexico, anything negative you want to have to say about Mexico is not
Not true.
it's not part of TIR. I personally renounce it, and it's the opinion of said guest. Mexico is a wonderful country, and it's okay to live without water from time to time. That being said, Stefan, would you like to bring in our guest?
Yeah, so we're being joined today by Arturo, who is a friend from Mexico I met at university. Very interestingly, and maybe we'll talk about it briefly, professionally, Arturo is an AI researcher working on machine brains. He works on kind of complicated machines which can automatically respond to emergency events and coordinate resupply for these events. But today, we're going to be talking about the Zapatista National Liberation Movement and Mexican politics more generally, which is something that Arturo has been involved in since the uprising in 1994.
Oh, well, please welcome Arturo. Arturo, thank you for joining us. Thank you for having the patience to deal with our silliness as we take on this very important topic.
It's a pleasure. I have a very well. I have some issues with the computer's speaker, so I miss part of the
You didn't miss much.
what you said, guys. So let me do my best today. Well, thank you for this invitation. It's a pleasure. Maybe I'm not the most skilled person to talk about ECLN, but well, I will do my
I
experience.
mean, don't worry, because no one else knows anything.
That's not true. I actually want to apologize because Marcus always makes fun of me for doing this. I always send the reading super late, and I actually had got a bunch of readings.
Didn't send it at all this week.
I didn't
right?
send it at all. I told all of you people. That was my bad. That was all me. So I apologize. But I know quite a bit now. I even have some quotes.
Nice.
Well, I've got my own separate, just like policy nerd questions that I have. So it's good that you let me on my own. So I think we'll be good. I think we'll be all right on this one.
Fine.
I'm not worried.
Jason lives in Mexico, by the way, Arturo.
Oh, really? Where are you living now?
I'm in Baja.
Well,
Baja?
okay. North. Well,
Oh,
south.
it's so funny. You guys call it the North. Okay, that's funny.
Yeah.
So if you think about the states, right? If you live in Hawaii, you don't call
Yeah,
U.S.
yeah,
Call it the mainland. But no one, people call this the North, and then everyone here calls everywhere else in Mexico the South. Like, oh, I'm from Chihuahua. Oh, you mean the South? I'm like, it's north of
yeah.
us.
Of course, of course. Never
So
been there, but it's a precious land.
yes, it's well, we'll probably get into talks about gentrification and
Yeah,
colonization, which is literally where I live.
for sure.
Way worse than Mexico City.
Well, we have also these problems, and well, the issue is that we have a massification phenomena of this kind of movement of people, and it's very weird because we have a small, let's say, developed center surrounded by many undeveloped communities, which are mostly the rule than the exception. So I'm not sure if it is the same in other part of the country, but it replies in different cities, big cities, most of them.
Well, I think we wanted to start off with a little bit of history about the rise of the Zapatista movement. For many of us, especially here in America, we get hip to the I don't want to say reiteration, but the EZLN in 1994, around the time that NAFTA is about to be signed into law. Because NAFTA is really going to have some devastating effects on rural farmers and in the indigenous population in Mexico. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I was a teenager when this happened, so I don't remember pretty much the political environment, but it was a surprise when every time in the media, President back then said that we enter in a new era in the first world because we signed the NAFTA those days. So they were celebrating the, the new year, and then the Zapatista army just tacked the attention to other people who was in danger as always, but pretty much because they are like they don't have a place in this trade agreement. Apart from being labor, not labor, well, workers, poor paid workers, but they say, okay, we have to see to those people, we have to see to these kind of styles of living. I mean, different even from people from cities and from other parts. They say we are the most forgotten people in between the among the forgotten people. So it was like a explosion, not only an armed uprising, but in the ideological and in the political sense. We just see to another reality in the 1st of January in 1994. And yes, the conflict is framed on these poverty conditions, even more than poverty. They say that they were living like in the European medieval age, because they have many abuses, many ways to stop the development and promote the exploitation of people, and well, many atrocities that they have related pretty much in those writings and communications that they have sent to the media. So they are rooted in I would say two traditions. The first is related with the rebellions, the armed rebellions that was from maybe 60s to 70s, and we know like the dirty war, maybe guerra sucia in Spanish. And there were a lot of guerrillas around the territory, and one of these guerrilla was the Fuerzas de Liberación Nacional, National Liberation Forces, that went to different parts, including Chiapas in the first time, which is in the south, but they were everywhere, or in many parts in the country. And in that first incursion, they failed. So after some years, they come back in a small group to try to organize again a guerrilla. And a very interesting thing happens, as I has known. They become aware that they cannot perform in the traditional ideological sense of a guerrilla. So they start to see that the indigenous people has a very ancient tradition of fight back against the exploitation and against the so-called mixed people. And they start to mix the ideas and to integrate other ideas, and there is a conglomerate of different ideologies. So they start to think in different way. They change. They say that they went to try to promote different ideas, and in the end, they just take other ideas that they were just not adapted, but they adapt to those ideas in order to organize people. So they take many years, as they say, maybe at least 1 decade ago, 1 decade before the uprising in 1994, just preparing the organization, preparing the countries, and they run a bailout in order to decide if they went to the war or not. So a curious thing is that the Mexican government discovered this its presence 1 year before 1994, in 1993. But as they were signing the NAFTA, they say, okay, just keep it
We don't want
quiet.
any trouble.
Yeah. So, it was a surprise that they were successful on this army fight, which lasts for, they say, well, in the media, it's documented that it lasts for 12 days. But maybe it was like a month, because different struggles just went on the jungle and whatever. Anyway, this is not the main point. After that, after this explosion in the media, we were surprised, because at the first months of the insurgency, and when all the army, well, not all the army, but most of the army, official army, went to these territories, we honestly said, okay, they will be crushed in 1 month or whatever, and this is the end. So, what happened in the end? The so-called civil or population start to organize in order to say, we don't want war. We are on the side of the rights that the rebels claim they are fighting for. We are not against the government in the army sense, so we need to stop the war. Then many people just make enough pressure to stop the war, and Mexican government just try to take the advantage of this, and try to say, okay, we are for the peace. So the fighting was stopped, apparently, because many organizations which are not directly related to the army just are in the ground, and they still are, and they perform some army attacks and murders. But the big confrontation between Zapatistas and the federal army just stopped, and there start a dialogue process that it was very very curious again, because army just the government just set like a kind of council or counselors or in order to try to establish, and they went to the jungle in order to find the heads of the army, and this is one of the singularities of this uprising. There is, of course, it is an army, and there is a direction. I don't know how to say this in English. The clandestine people who is in the beneath, not in the surface.
Yeah, underground guerrillas.
Yes, on the ground. The concept that is conformed by indigenous people, and this is the leadership of the army. But they don't occur. They don't went to the dialogue directly. They send representatives, even women. And on those days, most of the attraction went to the main spokesman, which is Subcomandante Marcos, now Galeano. And many people just identify this person as the real leader and the real how to say the leader, and people who really thinks what is happening and whatever. And this is one of the mistakes that the government and many people just perform, because in fact it is not so clear that he is the leader. He has denied every time, because he even said, "I am the sub commander. I'm not the commander."
Yeah.
Many people can
This
say,
is
"Okay, this is just
convenient for the movement in some way that the state can't understand this system, right? And always attributes to Marcos, like all this stuff going on, because the focus on him is obviously like it's unneeded for the state, but it's useful for the Zapatistas.
Yeah. And many years after that, I think 3 years ago, I don't remember exactly, he changed the name to Galeano, and he explained why Marcos was now disposable. And he said, well, we try to use this like a puppet in order to attract the attention of the media, because we knew that all journalists just went looking for the subcomandante, and when one indigenous leader, even a commander, speaks, they just see it all the way, or it's just a marginal note in news, many things.
Because Marcos was kind of like an urban Marxist, right? While most of the other senior leadership of the Zapatistas were indigenous people from the area.
Yes, and we have to say that it's a very complex aggregation of languages and way of thinking, even population, and they are spread in a very difficult territory. They are in the jungle, they are in the mountain, and there are different landscapes, and they try to organize despite those conditions. And this is one of the things that Zapatista said, that the decision making is hard, because they have to consult, they have to take the word of different people in towns, in many sessions, and then they try to collect and set what is people actually saying, what they want. Well, maybe I moved to another part now. I try to go back to the history. There is another thing, another important thing from this part of the rebellion. Well, obviously, with the change of government, there were like a hope that war just remain stopped, and those agreements, those dialogue process continue, and at the end reflect in different agreements, but laws or actual political decisions. And it was exactly the opposite. The the army just started to surround the area and increase the attacks. And the next president just started to increase the aggression, and they even claim that they have discovered the identity of the of Marcos, and it is not clear that it is right or not. They said, well, we know who he is, and they rule orders for he to be captured. Well, it was many years ago, so even those orders just vanished because of the time. They are not now ongoing. But well, the point that I'm trying to point out is that far from decrease the aggression just increase, and the political situation enter in a period of I don't know how to say, in order to keep the political
To keep the political solution ongoing, or
no, I'm trying to say not to be rude, in order to say it properly.
You can go ahead. You can be rude on this show.
Yeah, really.
Say all the curse words.
I didn't know. No, what I'm trying to say is to organize my thinking in order to say that the composition, or I don't know how to say properly, political parties and political people or representatives of leader of the political parties just try to mix each other. There is not a clear stratification or differentiation between different ideologies.
yeah.
And they just fall apart. But they still have some part of the decision making in order to grant to different companies, most of them from foreign companies, who become the actual rule power in my country. So the political environment was just a disaster, and continue being a disaster. And the war was just not in a frontal way, but in using these armies, popular armies, people who is living there, in order to try to decrease the influence and decrease the opportunities of Zapatistas and many other people, not only Zapatistas, maybe people who or towns who were sympathetic with Zapatistas and not call themselves directly Zapatistas, but all this ground and in all the country. So despite of this great opportunity to state different affairs in the political arena, political simply decide to sell the country and to translate the power to other stakeholders, from companies, from the well-known organized crime. So, well, maybe I have to stop and continue with your questions.
I have a question.
Yeah,
I have a question, Arturo. How does the functioning government get away, or how do they manage the perception of the Zapatistas in the consciousness of the public to allow them to govern around their demands?
Yeah, well, they have run many different strategies. Back then, we only have like 11 or 8 TV channels. Let's remember that the internet just come to the country around 1995, and maybe in 2000 was popularized, so we don't have too much options in order to get news. And they just try to say, okay, people who fight with weapons against political power like government just need to be stopped because there is a danger. The president back then, they say that they were violence professionals. This is the leitmotif that they used in the first days. And they try to say, we are peaceful people, we love peace, we don't want to fight, not even with unarmed positions. We just love to be quiet and whatever. And at the same time, they try to increase the importance of other political persons or characters. So with in the ground, I never been there, by the way, but in the I know people who has been there, but in the grounds they just promote other organizations like religious organizations, and they even rule a kind of how they call it. I don't remember exactly the name. It's like a country city or a green city in the jungle,
Okay.
like a model of a city of based in the development way of life, just to try to distract. But at the same time, they just organize those political, even indigenous organizations that they just corrupt and to set a front of battle in the ground and in the as you said in the let's say cultural or ideological arena. They just try to say, okay, what the leadership, the most noticed leadership is looking for is just like being a rock star. So he tried to sell books because he's a good writer. So this is the only way he can write, and he's a poet. So he tried to sell his books and whatever. And they try to fight again against the main, how do you say, the main claims that they has post in public discussion. So there are many strategies, but basically I can summarize in those. One in the ground, just fighting against population who is directly in the grassroots or the support in the territory, and all around the country just try to say, okay, this is a I forgot the word. Sorry, I just tried to switch to the English and I fail many times.
So,
a temporary ideology. So
they just switched from thing to thing. They didn't have one coherent strategy over the past 30 years.
Yes.
Do you mind going back in history and talking to us a little bit about the first Zapatistas?
Yeah, for sure. They take the new Zapatistas, or the nowadays Zapatistas, take the name from Emiliano Zapata, who was one of the leader of the Mexican Revolution of 1910. And why is that? There is an important writing that Zapatistas just delivered in the initial years of the rebellion, and they said that Zapata was a very clever leader. He speaks an indigenous language, as far as I know, maybe more than one. And even when he went to Mexico City in order to meet the other great leader, Francisco Villa, from the north, he performs a discourse in Nahuatl, an indigenous language, who, well, it's very weird and very rare that some political leader here speaks in an indigenous language. And this general was betrayed and get killed in his own state in a betrayal organized by a official army general. And after that, it was well, a myth or maybe a legend was created. And some people, they say he has not been killed, he is not dead, he's alive. And they call, particularly the Zapatista, they call Botan Zapata, which is I cannot describe it properly. It's a particular thinking of, let's say, I'm maybe failing in the description, but let's say a mythical, not person, but being that is behind, like a protector of the towns and people. So they take this because it's a flag, it's a real powerful person who has rule and defend people and the most poor people in those part of those regions, those territories. So they take this name as a how you say, a handshake or a meeting point with the indigenous way of thinking, the indigenous ideology. And well, the rest of the name is just because the organization is military organization. And
but it's also an important link, right, to the 1910 revolution.
Yes, it was. Well, it was one of the main leaders. And by the way, in Mexican Revolution, the first elected president was fighting against Emiliano Zapata, and then the general who betrayed this president, Madero, the general who was betrayed, was fighting directly and in a very bloody way the territories of the Zapatist influence. And there were not a clear encompassing between the new president, the president coming from the revolution, the triumphant revolution back then, and Emiliano Zapata. Then this president was just killed by the detractors, and the next president still don't make the peace agreement with Zapata, and he was killed after that, and the movement continue. Even there is a direct linkage because after Mexican Revolution there were a rebellion that is called Jaramillismo, after Rubén Jaramillo, who was a leader, and they are, let's say, direct siblings, or not siblings, children of Emiliano Zapata movement. So one of the last Jaramillista fighters just met the Zapatistas, and he became a leader of the indigenous council. So the root is not only in the name, but in the ideology and this linkage between the, let's say, tradition and fighting tradition, who is root in the ground. Sorry, I talk a lot. So
no,
that's why you're here.
That's why we wanted you on the show. We wanted all the chattering. There is a question, Arturo, that Carla Hernandez did leave in Spanish. I think she's been itching to ask a question in Spanish for a minute.
Yeah.
See it on your screen?
Yeah. It says, what is my opinion about the romanticism of the, about the Zapatista from the people who, from the North American people, and some of them are living in Baja. So,
Shots
get
fired.
we get that.
That's fine. Well,
I don't
I'm
see
not
too
aware.
much romanticism in North America. Do you see a lot of romanticism, Marcus?
I really don't. And like honestly, from the time as for this we were say we were doing the show, I tried to think about when I've even heard about the Zapatistas in like modern, or just like in like society and shit. One of the times it's like someone trying to denounce Bernie Sanders. Like there was some like MSNBC, someone was like, "You said something nice about the Zapatistas," and starts engaging in like these professional violence, so that but also Nejma Nefertiti, who's a hip hop artist who is like actually just rapped about the Zapatista movement a little bit. So yeah, honestly, it's like, and I think that this might be even going to like the way that the Zapatistas conduct themselves, is that there's not a lot of like media to be made,
I think
so
they were big kind of in the 90s and early 2000s, and kind of the like mind of kind of North American and Western leftists, but these days have kind of faded a bit.
Rage Against the Machine was big in
I mean-
popularizing them for people.
I think we all have to admit at this point, Rage Against the Machine, most people just thought they were yelling at their mom.
yeah.
Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me is more, right? Because even the concert they just performed with huge images of, anti-imperialist rhetoric, people were like, when did this band get political?
Yeah.
And that's not an internet joke. That's something that's been going on with those guys for years. They were part of a movement that, at a time, that was extremely apolitical. So I find it interesting that people always talk about the 90s as like, oh, the Zapatistas were big, Rage Against the Machine, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, for who? For you and your 5 friends that read the Communist Manifesto?
Yeah, like it's
Yes.
all kind of very relative, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was easier to be in the 90s copacetic. You had the first black president in Bill Clinton, according to Toni Morrison, right? Economically, the country was doing well, so.
But
Don't
I
make
think
waves.
while in maybe the 90s and early 2000s, Western leftists would kind of project on the Zapatistas. Now people project on Rojava.
For a minute, right? There was a minute.
It's
And now I think
Ukraine now.
people forgot about that.
But I've got a question for Arturo, and like this is like kind of, I guess, like you kind of touched on it, and this, bringing it like where the movement is today, of like how also was like the structure of bringing in different indigenous groups. It's like multiple languages, and you talk about like the difficulty and like how slow kind of the decision making process can be, but it's like this importance on like really getting everybody involved in the decision making process. So can you just kind of like talk about how like they built that out, and like I don't know, some of the lessons, difficulties with it?
Yeah, I would like to say just one thing about the previous question about romanticism. I would say that who are not taking this romanticist point of view of whatever. I think that some people just try to do the opposite. I'm not sure what is the inward position of romanticism. I mean, when you see the people, the things based on heat, not love or whatever. But I think that this occurs to many people in favor or against some ideologies. We are romanticizing many things, particularly Eurocentric way of thinking. So, going back to your question, well, it's pretty much different in every town. They even said that because with the current way of organized, which is based on the snails or caracoles, which is a way of establish properly the autonomy in the ground, in the territories, they have Junta de Buen Gobierno, which is like the organizing corp, let's say. But this corp is integrated by different representatives from the towns. They have a very interesting experiment, which is a rotative representatives to rule and to take decision. And it is different from town to town, even different from Caracol to Caracol, from different people and with lasting for just a period. There is no, they say, we don't want professional politicians. Politics and public administration is not that hard, and it's better to teach people to take in his own hands how the population should decide or make some decision about to set a bridge or to build a clinic or whatever. So basically, this is the structure, which is not the structure of the army. I mean, this is the structure of the they call bases de apoyo, now caracoles, which is people who support, who are not properly militian people in the Zapatista territory. So basically, those are like a parallel from the official government rule. And in the Zapatistas town, there is no official government. So they call free lands or free territories. And well, there is not elections in that point. I mean, the election is just for conform this organizing Junta de Buen Gobierno, which is the let's say the autonomous government on territories. But as I said, they perform pretty much the same, but in different way. There is not the same way of decision making in all across the territories.
And I'm like, this is always like I found this like very amazing because it's like what you're describing is it kind of like interlocking autonomous decision making groups that agree like they just like going like regional up and up, but also too is like there's not really elections for it. It's a rotational responsibility, which is not even I think it's incredibly interesting too. It's like it's not even an agreed upon like determined time period, right? Of like 2 years, 4 years, whatever. Each territory is going to have different necessities for how much time someone can give or take away from whatever to go be responsible to be like within this government and apparatus. So yeah, like extremely interesting, but like also too is like I can it's difficult I think for most of like Americans, Westerners to understand like what does real democracy look like, and especially now within the Americas of like all the rights and everything like that that like people imagined that they had may not have actually had, but now it's like going on paper. Like now this thing that you used to have is now illegal. Going to like somewhere where it's like there's not a lot of voting, but there's a whole lot of liberty, and like that. I don't know. So I think it's all like very very interesting and yeah, I think like maybe like something that we could like learn from. I think of getting away from like a Robert's rules dictating way of governing business that we have a lot in the, like our organizing spaces to just first figuring out what works for people and then developing systems of governance in that model of what works for everyone.
Because in what I was reading, they were kind of, I don't want to say anti, but I know the subcommandante actually made several comments about being somewhat against electoralism.
Well, let me say a couple of things around this. Well, first of all, I would say that well, this organization that has being promoted by Caracoles, has a different version in other towns and in other counties in Mexico. For instance, Cherán, which is one of the most known towns, sorry, where people just organized in an autonomous way. So this is an experiment that has been, let's say, tested in different territories, indigenous territories, most of them. And well, about totalitarianism, if I understood your question, being the Zapatista military organization, how they overcome the temptation to be like well, the rulers, the absolute rulers of all the territories. I remember one interview with Marcos, well, Galeano now. I said Marcos and Galeano because many people still said Marcos. But in that interview, he said that the Zapatista structure, the military structure, just tried to stay aside. In the very beginning, they just remain like a back support, and they do, but they don't rule, they don't dictate what is the decision that some town must perform. They delegate, or they just leave the power to this organization. So they try to don't take this temptation in order to order what is the thing that they have to perform. Many of the detractors of the Zapatistas, they say that this is fake, and the army just say what they have to do on the town, what they have to do. Obviously, when I'm saying that they is like an organization, I'm not saying that this is perfect, and I'm not saying that this is an homogeneous and everything every time all the things going well. There is many issues, there is many errors that they have even point about themselves. But as far as I have known, and I have discussed with some people, they just try to put aside, not to overcome the free will of the towns. I'm not sure if I answered.
You answered a question. I liked the answer, so it was cool.
Yeah, okay.
We have a super chat comment here. Caracol 10 Nuevo San Gregorio is experiencing state-sanctioned violence, threats of displacement as we speak. Juntas equal horizontalist direct democracy. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I don't know exactly what he's referring in the Caracol Nuevo San Gregorio. I think that the juntas is just direct democracy. As I said, they function in different ways. It's not the same. But one thing that I was just lifting aside is that the notion of power is very interesting from this point of view, because normally power is like something that someone just take and start to decide or making decisions around many things. But I think that Zapatista's point of view relies in different ideologies, where the power is not a thing, is something to be built. So you cannot just take, you need to create it. And taking this in mind, you can imagine that if we eliminate, first of all, economically based relations, and we just pass to another kind of relations, not just based in money or in profit, And if you add all this way of thinking where power is shared responsibility, you can end with a kind of direct democracy. I mean, even that democracy is a problem. It's not uh, crystal clear notion in the countries because they have different organizations that come from the colonial period in the way that they resist this colonial period and the most even harsh period that started with the independence of our country. So, well, it's a democracy, but maybe it's a direct way of rule the people, not only democracy. I think that democracy can be even be questioned on this point of view.
Arturo, do you want to talk about the situation in Mexico since 2018? Because obviously, I mean, I think I've heard you talk about them before, but apparently, since 2018, Mexico has been led by a left-wing president, has been led in the parliament by a left-wing party. But obviously, can we get your assessment, not necessarily to do with the Zapatistas, to do with the Zapatistas also, your assessment of Moreno and Amalo, and if they've been able to achieve anything, because now they've been in power for 4 years, if they've been able to achieve anything in power.
Yeah, well, I mean, if talking about Zapatista is not easy, talking about this is even harder. Right? Let me explain why, or try to explain why.
Well, quick question: were you in Mexico City when AMLO was governor?
Well, I go back to Mexico City by then, but I was out when he was when the election was performed, so I didn't vote and I was not involved.
He's with me in Essex, mate.
Yeah, I was there. I was there. So I was even trying. Well, I tried to organize. I don't know how to say signs in support of Marichuy. Maybe you know who Marichuy is. Maybe you don't. Well, I would talk about Marichuy after that. Well, the current Mexican president himself has said, "I am not from the left." Many of his followers, they say we are left or leftist or whatever, and they say we are ruled by a leftist or left wing government. But there are some points. I mean, the answer is not just yes or no. I think it's pretty much complicated because I can recognize some improvements in some areas, for instance, in culture or in some part of society, but still big decisions has to be related with the past way of making decisions, the past leaders and the past I don't know how to say, I forgot many words.
Yeah, like the institutional way of doing things since Pre came to power. Most of this has not changed.
So there is a struggle with some companies, for instance, but there is a friendship with others.
What is the situation with the oil at the moment?
Yeah, well, the situation of the oil is like pretty much like a struggle with some ideologies that they say we don't have to be oil selling nations. We have to do any other options. We have to do, for instance, green options for doing energy or whatever. And current president just start to build some oil refineries. I'm not sure if this is the word in English also.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, so they go for increase the production. I'm not sure if this is well, it's directly related with a more self production, and this self production just is translated to a good conditions for the country, or good conditions for people. I think that many things occurs in the middle. So what is happening in this topic and in others is that some peoples, even against and even who is in favor of this president, from my point of view, are very narrowed in his opinion, because this president has just 2 years in front. So what happened with this configuration of power, and with this configuration of relationships between many areas in the country when he finished his government? And some of them are very scary, like the power that he's delivering to the army. But at the same time, there is like declarations. For instance, he said that we don't need an army because U.S. army is so powerful that we are totally not able to fight again. So we have a different.
Arturo, you bring up a very interesting point that makes me reflect on conversations we've had in the past. When you have a developing country that has energy resources that is demanded upon it to use green technology by first world countries that are some of the major polluting nations in the world, and yet they're expected to more strictly adhere to energy green technology more than those first world countries. Can you discuss that phenomenon?
Well, I think that the problem of being a poor country, I mean, social poor country like us, is not related with the exploitation of nature. It's related with the organization of economy. And of course, we as a third world economy, we are underneath the rule of the different countries. And in the last 3 decades, we increased this dependency. So it's very complicated to break this dependency and develop or even take the technology to exploit the natural resources. Nowadays, farther than the oil is a discussion about the lithium. And there is an important discussion about it. And some of the detractors of the nationalization of the lithium, they say exactly that. We have not the technology to exploit the lithium industry, so it's a wasting of time or resources to try to do that.
So saying they're behind Bolivia.
Sorry?
That by saying this about Mexico, the Mexicans say that they're behind Bolivia because Bolivia is obviously
yes.
We are going to do stuff with the lithium in our own country.
Yes, and even more because in Bolivia there is as far as I know, the extraction of lithium is easier than here because of the components and because of the presentation of lithium and whatever. But the main point is, as we are not, we don't have, let's say, a management class who is able to negotiate or produce different organization. We don't have national industry. We have, but it's very small and focused in just produce one part of the line of final product, samples or whatever. We don't have this let's say cast of persons who try to attract these activities, and at the same time we cannot compete in an autonomous or nationalistic way, let's say, because there is a very penetration of many countries, many companies, more than countries, many companies, and
Yeah.
difficult the exploitation and difficult the um, taking the benefit of this. This is why there is many struggles and murders of ecological fighters, let's say, because people, when they take the decision of his territory, stop the robbery of raw sources, raw materials, and this break the supply chain of the big industry.
So
So how we penetrate this supply chain of the big industry and we appropriate this in order to establish a national industry or a national production of whatever. It's hard.
yeah, definitely. No, and it's been something that kind of Latin America's been trying for like like 100 years, right? With import substitution in Brazil and Argentina, like this idea of trying to not sell basic resources and to instead turn them into industrial goods in our own country. It's something that Latin American countries have been struggling to do for 150 years, and it hasn't really happened. Somewhat related to this, someone asked a super chat question, which Arturo, by the way, means that someone paid money for this.
To get your opinion.
They wanted to know about the kind of the status and the role of NGOs in Mexico, like Western NGOs and Western style NGOs, and kind of if they're kind of like a tool of the West and the kind of global imperialist order, or if despite this kind of they have a positive effect on Mexico.
I guess NGOs in what capacity, though, right? Are they just talking about NGOs in general or certain
Yeah, I
types?
mean, I
of
guess there's
NGOs?
lots of kind of Western NGOs
Yeah, I
working
mean,
to like help Mexico.
there's sex trafficking NGOs that definitely try to do some help, which is a massive problem where I am. I'm in a border city, right? So
I've got a question, and like this may be an issue. I don't know. Does anybody else hear my?
yeah, I do hear that.
Yeah, it's like a fly keep getting killed.
Yeah, what's up with
Is
your
that-
microphone?
It was
I
that
don't know.
Marcus.
Yeah, that's definitely Marcus. See what happens when your hair is too fucking wonderful? Called Murphy's Law there, pretty boy.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I didn't think it was Marcus, but
Testing one.
Okay, ask it in a cool voice. Like, say it like this. Hey.
No, the question about like immigration, where like a lot of the populations are coming out through the south. Does that have any is there any overlap with Zapatista like territory or like anything like that? It's like willing to kind of like is that one of the because of like is that one way that territory and that like Zapatista
yeah, no,
movement
I was gonna
is-
also. I think it's a good chance to ask about kind of the Zapatista relationship, or well, relationship is like a kind word when not the kind of the thing that's taken, but the kind of relationship, the engagement between the Zapatistas and the kind of drug cartels. Because obviously, as well as being on a route where you might want to smuggle people, they're also on a route where you might want to smuggle drugs.
You are asking a serious question there, Stefan.
Yeah.
Jason doesn't want answers.
You know what? Why don't you just get to that later if you don't want to get to that now? Because I don't know anything about drug smuggling. Last I checked, flies right over Mexico from Colombia.
Yeah. Let me say something on this point, because for me it was a key a central idea when I was reading and now get information about Zapatista ideology, let's say, or proposal. The revolutionary law of the women revolutionary law with, was one of the main points that they posed in the army, in the interior of the organization of the army. They say stop alcohol and stop drugs. So you cannot consume any kind of drugs in the Zapatista territory. So they claim and they say we don't have any we have zero tolerance to drug selling, trading, or whatever. They deny that they have any kind of relationship with cartels, but at the same time, I was shocked a couple of weeks ago when a pure indigenous cartel just uprised to the public life.
Mhm.
They live beside any other cartels in the land because Chiapas is populated by many cartels. So this pure indigenous cartel just is not fighting to death with the others. They are just cooperating.
Mm.
And of course, at, at the first time when the Zapatistas just came to the public life, they say, oh, they are funded by cartels and they trade whatever. None of this has been proved to be true. And well, as far as I know, and this central idea that there is not, that there is a zero tolerance policy as part of a revolutionary law, for me was okay. This is like, I mean, there is a discussion about if something is tolerated, if something is part of the law or not, and we can argue against or in favor. But the fact that it is a way to stop another, let's say, tool to be dominated is a political action. It's not economical. It's not ideological. It's ideological. It's a political central point, and with many other things. This is just one example, and this is just one of the keys why Zapatistas still is in the ground, and they has not been banished as any other guerrillas.
So, and I think it's like fair to say, this fucking mic.
Remember, smooth, Marcus. Gotta be.
Sorry, fair to say that the restriction of drug use has more to do.
I don't think speaking quietly helps. Just get it
No,
out.
it doesn't.
You'd be surprised how many people love the crack.
I don't know what the deal is. Maybe but no, the restriction on drug and alcohol use is more of like it's like a political calculation dealing with the reality of the cartels and everything like that, and not necessarily some I guess devotion to any type of religious or ideological sentiment against those things.
So it's not FARC. You're saying that EZLN is not FARC.
Yeah, and well, I forgot to say this thing. Drug cartels are being used mainly as a counter-insurgency tools. So at the moment that they accept to get infiltrated by cartels, Zapatista is just let's say, infiltrated by government. So it's like a shield. It's like a protection policy. So,
But it's very common to slander leftist groups by saying that they're involved with drug smuggling. For instance, the same thing happens with, and obviously sometimes it's true.
yeah.
Sometimes it's very true.
How do you
But for
fund
instance-
these operations?
For instance, PKK is accused of being involved heavily in drug smuggling, but they were found innocent by a European court. And if a European court finds a kind of a third world guerrilla movement innocent or something, they probably are innocent of it. But obviously, it also happens because it's kind of this necessary thing of like the guerrillas, the territory that guerrillas will take will be kind of these hard to reach, hard to access regions, which are kind of on key border crossings. And these are exactly the same places that cartels want to be and where cartels want to move across. like PKK controls the border between Iraq and Turkey, which is obviously a way into Europe. I wanted to ask you, Arturo, also about well, I mentioned it in the notes. Jason, come on.
Okay.
About the auto defense. So
Yeah.
in contrary, apparently, to the cartels, various auto defense groups like self-defense militias in Mexican towns and villages have popped up in Mexico. But obviously these organizations aren't kind of like pure wellsprings of the population, and often find themselves fighting a certain cartel with like suddenly like a massive flow of heavy weapons which has come from another cartel. And these groups have also been used to kind of go against the EZLN. And obviously they don't have a coherent character across all these groups, but I'm sure some of them are also positive organizations. So what's your general assessment of the situation?
You just posed very difficult.
I like to ask hard questions.
Well, autodefensas or self-defending militias, let's say. There is a non-homogeneous groups. Some of them, of course, are legit, we can say, because people organize, for instance, in community police. So they say, oh, police is a waste of time. They are criminals, so we have to organize a self-defense police. So these people is pretty much like a people who is dedicated to civil security in town, control who enter and whatever, and take some people who is doing some robbery in the house or whatever. But obviously, we call one not let's say armed corp Guardia Blanca, which is like I don't know how to say it properly, like a corp of a group of people who is armed and is protected by police or army in order to do counter-insurgency activities.
Like a contra organization.
Yeah. So they just organize those in order to say how we can deal with the cartel in front. We can do by our own shooting guys, and we can do for people in towns, and we can do for many other, including the army and police and whatever. And they just create fake self-defense groups. When I start to hear about self-defense, I was like, it's weird, because when they do some interviews on TV, they say, we are not against the president, we are not against the government, we are just against the drug cartel. And I said in my own thoughts, this cannot be possible because those are the same. So maybe you are very naive. You are a guy who is shooting other guys, so you are not so naive. For me, it was like a matter of an intriguing matter. I have this dude. I don't recognize this like a truly self-defense activity, but this is one of them. There are many of them. As I remember the Guerreros, the southern county in Mexico, which is called Guerrero, organized a community police, which is legit, and many of them. But there is a mix, so we need to be very careful of what we are talking about, and most of them are vanished because they are shooted or moved to other part. Or, it's very complex. It's not there is not a real taste of what is happening.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to give a once and for all answer, but it's just
Yeah,
interesting
yeah,
to talk about it.
yeah. So
Looks like we have one
just
more
one note.
NGOs.
There's also the one that we haven't talked about. With someone there's also a super chat asking about the role of women in the Zapatistas.
It's actually a really good question.
Yes, well, you just said about NGOs. I think that maybe I'm wrong, but probably I am wrong. But I think that the NGOs and some forms of self-defense or some forms of other political or even civil organizations are just another tool for the state or government or cartels to perform its own objectives. So again, what NGO we are talking about? For instance, the NGO that is worried about different pet problems, which is, I think, maybe is legit. I'm not sure. Or one of them who is running for fundraising the political career of some person in a political party. We have to be very, very careful, and we have to even to trace the past and the actions of this organization. What was happening here and maybe in other countries is that some of them just set an office in some place, and they start to compete for grants from the social policy of the government in order to get funds and establish a business, basically.
Are there any NGOs? Oops. Are there any NGOs that you know are doing good work?
Well, basically, well, for being honest, I have never been involved, but I know people who has been in there and have sustained some chats with people who has been involved. So this is why I start to say maybe or for sure I'm wrong, but this is my suspicious because well, many of them has been documented in newspaper and in the media, and even this operation, this way of operate was let's say extrapolated to the universities and many other organizations that we can say it is impossible. I cannot believe that this organization performed such an actions.
What kind of organizations are you talking about more so?
Well, as I said, some organizations that try to provide some supplies or some, for instance, internet to different towns, or to set some educational services.
Okay.
And many other stuff. I think it's a very wide range of activities. You can set an NGO for whatever you want.
I know there's organizations that also try to help people with immigration status. Again, it's different. Mexico is a larger country than people probably assume, and of course, problems are going to be different in different parts of the country. If you think about where a lot of the Zapatistas are located on the south, they're not going to have the same immigration issues and problems that up here in the northern region that we're going to have. Also, they're not going to have the same issues with sexual tourism that you have in the north. There are literally Marcus, mute yourself. Toussaint, mute yourself.
I've muted the whole time. Like I'm saying, this is not.
That's Toussaint. Okay. There's literally YouTube channels dedicated to how to properly go about your sexual tourism in places like Tijuana, and it doesn't get much better in places like Brownsville, which is towards the eastern end of the country, towards the eastern end of Texas. Jesus, it's just sound effects everywhere, and Chihuahua as well. So there's going to be very different NGOs with extremely different concerns. Especially when you had the kids in cages earlier. What year was that? Where that was a big deal. The Remain Mexico, 2017, 2018.
The Kids
There
in
was a
Cages
lot of
2020.
Remain started in 20. No, that was a Trump era policy.
Yeah, but
What
it
year
became
was
really
that?
big during 2020 because it
Was
was
it
a funny
2020?
thing. Like, it was really big in the first half of 2020, and then obviously in the second half of 2020, the Democrats had to be like, "Well, no, obviously we're not actually going to abolish ICE. We're going to just do the same shit." Like, but yeah, we were having fun. Don't worry about it, guys.
Yeah, like that. Someone just commented. Yeah, of course, there's definitely still kids in cages, and there was a lot of organizations that I actually knew that were actually going down there and actually trying to help the young kids, just giving them supplies. And I wouldn't say that they were in bed with the government. They were actually, it was hard for them to get in and even give supplies in those facilities. So
Yeah, I mean, that's how it works, right? You're either a shit NGO with the government facilitates, or you're a good one, in which case the government's going to absolutely fuck you.
Like there's very different concerns throughout the state. One thing we haven't even talked about is the role of climate change in different parts of Mexico and access to water. You often hear me complain on the show about how my water gets cut off all the time. I just found out that up until 2 months ago, the region I live in wasn't even connected to the municipal water system.
Wow.
So, a lot of people there's private water. People have to have private water. Who do you think can afford private water?
Yeah, but let me set this point. I think that the NGOs as whatever becomes a branding strategy. So we have to understand that not all. I mean, if we generalize, we are failing. Even in the same organization, there is different things. And I just want to remember a Mexican philosopher and poet that has just passed away last year, or maybe 2 years ago, I don't remember. With the pandemics, just times flies. So he was introducing a discussion of how we have to approach the cartel phenomena, the drugs cartel phenomena, as part of a very, let's say, pure expression of capitalism. And I think that these NGOs, not all of them, of course, many of them, some of them, are behaving in the same way of a cartel. Maybe with not with the automatic guns or whatever, but well. From this point of view, we can understand how even big tech companies behave. Mining companies behave as a cartel also, and they have in Mexico they have cartels working for them as a security guards or as a security how to say well,
security force.
Employees force, yes.
Quick question, and I don't know how true this is. Are the cartels really active in stealing like the gas in the southern regions of Mexico? Have you heard about that?
Well, yes, in many parts of territory, but well, most of them has.
But these are all rumors.
Most of them has his I'm not
Hey,
to say that.
it's okay. We can forget that question.
You get surprised how many people look
You just of course.
Jason
have
doesn't want to
people
say anything bad about
who
the
do
nice
that.
guys who live down the street.
Yeah.
They actually are here recently because they don't live there. They just come there. I don't know what they're doing, but they're up the way, and they seem to be nice gentlemen, and they helped a few old ladies cross the street.
Of course.
Just one example. Some people discover a illegal connection of a oil pipeline inside a building, an office building.
Jesus.
So it is not unreal to imagine that some people just steal oil in the pipeline that cross many miles. And,
Like, that's
there is
insane.
a tragedy. There were a tragedy where some people just discover an illegal pump. And gasoline just start to spread, and many people just try to catch it in some pots or whatever, and at the end just light initiate a fire. I mean, many people was roast, literally, even kids.
Yeah, I think I heard about this.
Yeah, roasted.
Yeah,
Yes.
there was a river
Yeah.
that caught on fire, and one whole town got obliterated.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Holy shit.
The things I've seen, but that's these are all wives' tales. This is
something we
myth.
we could talk about this. That's but it's a similar thing of that at Red Hill facility in Hawaii, where they had like a pipe. It was like a PVC pipe that had like fuel and shit, and it busted, and it just there was just hundreds of thousands of gallons of jet fuel just like pouring out into this like sewage area that was like directly over their water aquifer, and it's like that was like just pouring out for like weeks, and the Navy's like, the water's fine, it's fine. But no,
when I was training with Yepagay, there was like a riverbank, but it wasn't a riverbank, it was like a oil bank. From like where there'd been like such a long kind of oil leakage or whatever. It just had like a solidified riverbank that was just made of like hardened oil, and which in like a dip, we'd like march up and down in that hole during operations training.
That's insane.
Yeah, and it got insanely hot, the ground, and like it would get like, and then the sun, it would get like squishy,
Climate change is real. Well, I know, Arturo, we took a lot more of your time than originally we had said we were going to take. Thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us. If you ever find your way up north here in Rosarito, where I am, I'd be more than happy to take you out to Lobster Town down the way, Nuevo. So,
thank you very much, you guys, and I have.
Thank you, Arturo.
This talk. Thank you, Pascal, Marcus, Jason, Stefan.
I forgot to ask Arturo one question, which was, when you came to Essex, how surprised were you to find some Zapatistas there?
Well, I think that I surprised the most people who speak Spanish.
Yeah.
So I say, okay, that's fine, because I have here or noticed from people in Germany and in Spain mainly, but not in England. So it was a good surprise.
My first time in Bath in the UK, Arturo, I ordered Mexican food.
Oh, really?
Yes. That's the face I made when they brought it out. Oh, really? This is what you call it,
Is that what this attempt is? Really? Eh?
Yeah. Is it the same face? Is that what the same face you make, Stefan, when you go to the States and get fish and chips? Oh, really?
I can't really remember what I ate in New York.
No, I'm saying that because, well, sorry, Stefan, but when I went to the UK, I just forgot about the taste of food.
You just get it down, man. You just get it down.
Well, you know, it's a joke. It's not completely a joke.
Oh, fuck.
More fun when your guest comes on the show that you co-host and burns your whole country about their cuisine. How does it feel?
I mean, Stefan
I mean,
knows that
just,
nobody
it's
sees this.
water off a duck's back.
This is the secret
I think that's
reveal
what they have there.
in the movie for Stefan is that he left the UK because the food sucked. Not anything
I thought you were going
about
to say
ideology.
that actually it turns out I'm a duck.
No, that's one of the.
Gene Barge going with the
delicacies.
slander. Britain has better food than the U.S. Where does Britain have better food than the U.S.?
Oh, he's talking about when his mom boils up a sausage. That's all he's
Yeah,
talking
right.
about.
First of all, because of the nature of the U.S., we have more food diversity. There's no such thing as American cuisine. So literally, we have Chinese food, we have Mexican food, we have Italian food, we have German food.
Hey, I will, Pascal. I will have to admit this: some damn good Indian food in the UK.
I will grant you that they probably have better Indian food. I'm sure they might even have better Middle Eastern food, but you can get those good things. Those are not British cuisine. You can get those things in the United States.
Yeah,
And
no one wants
Scotland knows how to
jellied
deep fry everything.
eels.
But okay, I kept Arturo by accident, but he can be free if he wants.
Yeah, well, let me just finish the last part of this statement. I was just willing to find some grandma in the countryside in the UK who possess a very real cuisine skills. I'm pretty sure there are many of them, but I have not.
You didn't find it in 3 years.
Yeah. So I have to go back to look for one of them. Okay.
Well, thank you for your time, Arturo.
Bye.
We appreciate you.
All right.
Have a very good rest of your afternoon. Stefan, thank you for introducing us to Arturo. That was actually a lot of fun, and I can only imagine the look on that man's face as he was trying to find something to eat. Like,
let me forget the taste of the cuisine.
he got home and was like, "Oh, like I'm not gonna lie, like everything's a little hotter down here." It's like when I went to Louisiana and they were like, "Well, Popeyes taste different in New Orleans." I was like, "Yeah, how's it's all from the same place?" Bullshit. And then they took me to New Orleans Popeyes. Like we had to go on a trek to prove the point. And I was like, "Oh, you're right."
That was at Popeyes in Lafayette. That's 24 hours. You still harping on about
The Popeyes in Lafayette is a buffet, Pascal. So you have to understand that I love buffets because as a touring musician, I don't have a lot of money. So you can eat until you can't eat anymore, and then you don't have to eat the next day because you're
So that means that you're a fan of all-you-can-eat Chinese plus buffets.
Yes and no. I have found some amazing all-you-can-eat Chinese buffets in the ass cracks of America. And
I mean, what Arturo said is like, if we're generalizing, we're failing. And I take that fully when it comes to Chinese buffets.
There's been some places I was like, where did you guys get this fresh octopus from in the bowels of South Carolina?
There's a great gas station down the street. You would not believe
it. Someone jokingly says Jason takes the salsa rojo over the salsa verde. Yes, and I got yelled at a restaurant by the waiter. Like, then why offer?
As an English, I don't know what the fuck that means.
Salsa verde is the green salsa.
Green salsa.
Salsa roja is the red salsa. Why can't you have the green one over the red one? Was it a big law?
Hey, I've been perfecting being down here because there's different chilies and shit that I never really see at the grocery store, and tomatillos are easier to get down here, a little fresher. I've been killing it on the green salsa. I was like, dude, I should do a whole cooking stream.
Yeah, you should try to diversify. Get on a Twitch and just do absolutely fucking nothing.
Oh, I should get on Twitch and cook, and then I'll serve random people that walk around here on the
You'll go harass strangers on
He'll be like, oh, no. They don't speak English, but no is Spanish too. No.
On this episode eat my food.
Because I learned how to do a lot of cooking in Louisiana, mixing some of that knowledge with a lot of the ingredients here. I'm telling you, man. Like Pascal, if you stayed here for a little bit, you gain some weight. You gain some.
Can't have that happen. Do you know how to do all that seafood cooking, crawfish, all that other stuff?
It was a mandatory thing every Friday is seafood day, so you have to make all of the traditional dishes that you would think.
Seafood boil, crab
you have a
boil.
very large seafood boil, gumbo, etouffee.
Love me some gumbo.
Yeah, and if it's not the right color, then you get, depending on where the crew is from, too, you get yellow.
What is gumbo?
Stefan Gene wants to disown you for not defending British cuisine, man.
Well, I mean, I like it. I just don't need to defend it, Like,
what's to like though? Like when you're
like, it's not like you guys don't even eat it. Like, what the fuck? Like,
so is fish and chips not British though?
Yeah, I could put French fries on a sandwich, but like, why though?
Wait,
chips
it's not French fries,
chips, right? But like, no, like
Literally
anyone can do that. But it's like a chip sandwich with some beans, mate. Like, I can make that. I could get that.
Well, I can get a fucking beef burger and put it between 2 bits of bread, dickhead. Like,
yeah, but that's the thing. Is like that tastes good. That tastes better than a bunch of chips.
Fish and chips is not bad, actually.
Oh, burger.
Yeah.
Nah, fish and chips is not bad.
No, but I saw a chip sandwich. Chips sandwich. What's that?
Mean, what Americans need to admit is that there's no real difference between American and British food.
We don't have
like
eels.
American and British food are like it's like some carbs that you put with some fucking French fries, which then put some with the meat, and then all the other stuff is just like ethnic, and we both have the same stuff there. So
I don't know what American is like. Salisbury steak American, like I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like what's food?
I think
American food is just
I think
English
American food is Southern cuisine.
Yeah.
That is common in the South. That's
if
good
you guys
cuisine.
are curious on Southern cuisine, we actually did a whole show on enslaved cooking and the history of sugar with Professor Kelly Dietz. So go back and listen to that, and we actually talk about that cooking. That's why I wanted to go to the South, though. I wanted to see if the stuff I was making in California was worthy of what I thought it was. So I went down to the bowels of the South to learn and also create.
I think I do agree with the UK though. I think pies should be more of a hearty, meaty type of thing. And
is shepherd's
pie. Do you only have sweet pies?
Pretty much. It's like
meat pie is Pascal's nickname in the Miami streets.
Wow.
Anyway,
the sweet dessert pie is a dominant form of pie. I disagree with it. I think there should be no sweet pie. That's cake. Pie is for me.
There should be no sweet pies. What about apple pie? What about cherry pie?
That's apple cake. Cherry cake.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Shots
No,
fired.
we gotta separate pies and cakes. Cake sweet, pies savory.
Ew.
Okay. We'll be sure to get you a birthday pie on your birthday.
No, it's a birthday cake. I don't want no birthday pie.
Sweet potato pie.
Yeah, no, so that
pie?
sweet potato pie, that sticks around.
No.
Sweet potato pie, that's fine. Chicken pot pie, good. Shepherd's pie, fine. Apple pie turns to apple cake.
See, when somebody shows you who they are, get them a pie for their birthday. That's what you do.
Yeah, I for real got to get the fuck out of here. But thank y'all.
Peace,
Oh my
Marcus.
God. Between the pie comment and some of the comments people were making about Pascal's. Did Marcus, he got mad over the pie shit?
No, I thought we were rapping, and we're going to be cutting off by 2, but I got to go. I got to
We got a whole nother guest.
Get the hell out of here. What?
Yeah, we have a whole nother guest.
No, it's 2:00.
It is 2:00.
It's 2:00 your
the
time.
dot.
But for me, it's still breakfast.
Party time.
I
With that
am
word,
going though, because for the chat, I'm occupying my friend's bedroom and forcing him to just sit in his lounge on his phone. And I'm gonna.
Well, then it's just gonna be me and Meat Pie Mountain.
Who's the other guest? Can I at least say hello?
Precious Child, who is a trans woman, multiracial recording artist. I'm literally reading it off of the Spotify bio. So,
Well, do you have a Spotify bio, Jason? I guess you do, but
it'd probably be like, dude.
man, fellow.
There's nothing I hate more than bios. Whenever you get a publicist, your publicist says, and you probably know about this, Stefan. They're like, we need a bio from you. And I'm like, well, and then they go, but we can't have it more than 3 sentences. Oh, so you need 3 sentences of my life? Yeah, we need 3 sentences of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I just do the one interesting thing I did in my life, and then the thing I'm presently doing, and that's enough.
Yeah, you're way smarter than me because I can't even think of that. I'm just like, guy likes music. Read
Okay,
the
bye,
bio,
friends.
This is revolution.
bye, Stefan. Bye, Marcus.
Bye, Stefan.
Bye, chat.
Marcus, you're not going to come on. Just okay. So real quick, do you remember when a woman said that there was a trans person swinging their ding-a-ling all in the changing room of a spa in LA?
No. But like, I'm sure there's like people who were like, yeah, we'll say that type of shit.
Well, basically, a woman was in a spa and she was like, "There's a trans woman in the spa and they're waving their dicks around the kids." And I was like, "Who does that? What? You've been in a men's dressing room before, Marcus and Pascal. In any dressing room, I've never seen any dude helicopter the wang."
The Marine Corps, and like it was like, if anybody wants to know if like there is any threat to heterosexuality, it's the United States Marine Corps. Is there an instance where I'm seeing dudes just swing their dicks around and a bunch of other dudes? United States Marine Corps. Like, any question about any of that shit, the United States Marine Corps is the worst. It is the gayest institution on the planet. Like, you don't got to go outside. Stop trying to beat up on trans folks. Stop trying to attack trans people for just existing. Your beef is with the United States Marine Corps. On that note.
Didn't ask, but he told. I'm here for it.
I've never been in a locker room where dudes are like sitting around, dicks out, touching them, doing dance routines like these people were saying they were doing, like it's goddamn Bollywood. So I can't imagine a trans woman going into the locker room at a gym. The whole thing seemed a little weird, and this woman was getting the patrons of the spa enraged of the idea that there's someone going around. There's kids in there. I'm like, what kids are in a spa?
Right.
What kind of spa is this?
They mean 17-year-olds.
Regardless, only one time in my life, in Boise, Idaho, has a grown man walked up to me in the gym with no pants on and talked to me. And it made me extremely uncomfortable because he was very serious. And he walked up to me, hog out. Hog is out. Hog dangle. He was a buff white dude. And so it wasn't only like it's some jailhouse punking. He was just like, "Are you in a band?" And I was like, And I was trying to do that thing where I was scared to take off my towel because I didn't want to show. Because you get this, it's cold, so
Mm.
and so I did that thing where you try to like hurry up and put your drawers on under your towel, but then my towel was a hotel towel we had stole, so it didn't wrap around my whole waist, so I look like I'm trying to look cute, like it's one of those things that women wear.
You're telling way too much here already, boss.
I thought
And
you were gonna say he walked up to you and said, "Hey, how about those Knicks?"
And then he did a dick touch.
All right. On that note,
On that
I gotta go. Peace.
later, Marcus. You still have the shot at being president, not you. Though, Jason. Not you.
No, but then he came up to me. He was like, "Are you in a band?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I forget what exactly he said next, but the conversation consisted around him asking if I had Facebook, and then that doesn't make it sound better. And then he was just kind of getting into this whole like, hey, I went to this seminar, and if you have like 1,000 fans on Facebook, you could probably make like $100,000 a year with your music, with just 1,000 fans. And he was a business owner out there, so it was actually kind of more of a, if you just marketize to this crowd, that's all he was.
Whip my nuts out.
Yeah, he's the whole hog.
He's a crypto guy now. I'll bet.
But he wasn't trying to be mean or rude or forward. I just was shy.
Traumatized is a better word.
I was because who does that? Who goes up to someone hog out? I was like, hey, by the way, because he had flip flops on, like he knew that, hey, this ground I might get athlete's foot.
Well, obviously he didn't care about athlete's penis.
Jesus. King of the one-liners, this guy.
Like I go case the gym first to see if it's got the private dressing room, and if it doesn't, I will just go get dressed in the bathroom stall. Like that's how. And I'm not the only one. There's like hella dudes when you go to the gym. When I was in the Central Coast, I go to the gym, and if all the little changing rooms are taken, you'd hear dudes go "fuck" because they would just wait. Even if there were showers open, they'd wait. So, someone says Jason clearly has never been to the YMCA. Old dudes love hanging out with their junk out. He was an older man, and there is something about the older you get, the more comfortable you get with your junk out. But our guest has arrived.
Right.
Are you ready, Toussaint?
Yeah.
Did you have fun in the first 2 hours of the show?
First 2 hours were dope. I learned a lot, and I intend to replay it too.
I will send you the book that I got that I was supposed to send to all of you, and I did not.
Appreciate it. Late pass.
I apologize. With that being said, please welcome recording artist, Precious Child. Welcome.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Now, you just had a show last night?
I did at Coffin Club in Portland. It was the old Lovecraft bar, and they expanded it by about 10x, and I think it's now the largest goth club in the country. And they did not make
really?
that claim to fame, but I've been to goth clubs all around the country, and it's fucking huge now. So,
What's that one down by you, Bar Sinister? Would you call that a goth club?
Yeah, that's like definitely that's like the gothiest. We are gothier than you. I mean they won't like I wear this stupid baseball hat all the time,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually my statement against hat culture. You know, I I kind of
The
you know
oppression, the oppression
yeah I
of
kind
hat.
of well it's my statement against hat culture period because I kind of ruined this hat a bit. And they won't let me in with this. They're like, no baseball hats allowed.
Word.
Yeah, honestly, I think that the scene there, at least at that place in LA, is pretty racist. Pretty racist. Like a lot of goth scenes around the country are. Like, you go into a place and it's all extremely monochrome in a very racially diverse city, and something's going on. So, I've never played there at that place in LA.
You never played Bar
Seen it.
Sinister?
I have not. They will
They
never.
had a
They will
paper
never
bag
book me.
test? Is that they had a
Huh?
paper bag test? Paper bag test? Whatever.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, like they'll book a lot of much smaller acts, but they will never book me. They will never book me. So be it.
Well, where do you play in LA?
I last played at a place in Long Beach called I forget what it's called. I played at Long Beach, and before that, I played at an abandoned Chuck E. Cheese, which
Hey,
was
man, Chuck E. Cheese plays, man. That's a
it
gig,
does.
bro.
It's
That's a
like
gig.
one of probably like many people's first concerts, right? Like you get to see
Alex's Bar. Someone says Alex's Bar in Long Beach. That's the one place I know is Alex's Bar.
it was supply and demand in Long Beach.
I have played my share of goth spots from the last project I was in. We got thrown in to the goth scene.
How long have you been into goth music?
Really since like I was 18. Yeah, I like some of it, but I listen to a lot of music. I grew up listening to classical, and I listened to top 40. I listen to classic rock, a lot of metal. I've been listening to some Turkish music, ethnic Turkish music lately.
Well, speaking of Turkish music, I was contacted by your publicist because of an incident that happened, and I thought it was I won't say interesting, but I remembered the incident, so I was like, "Oh no shit!" So I'm probably not the most honest. I don't know if you heard a little bit of us talking about the incident where the woman said that there was a trans woman waving around genitalia in the changing room, but somehow you got blamed for this and you weren't even there.
Yeah, that's right.
So can you tell us just a little bit about the incident and then how your name came up?
Yeah, there was this viral video by this person named Cubana Angel, and it went viral on Instagram, millions of views, and then it was picked up by right-wing outlets where she's like, Cubana Angel, the person, is being like a Karen inside of the spa, and like in hysterics about seeing a dick in the spa, and none of the other patrons are like, they're all just kind of like avoiding her. And they're not like, yeah, like there was some fucking person there like masturbating in the spa. It wasn't like that. They're just kind of like veering away from her. And so she's yelling at the staff, and then she's like, we're going to go take a look. And then she starts walking back, and then the video cuts off. So that went viral, got picked up by the right-wing news media, and a couple of days pass, and then this right-wing fascist instigator in LA, who was known for blocking Dodger Stadium in an anti-vax protest because Dodger Stadium was one of the largest vaccination sites in the country at that time. This is in July 2021, and she blocked it back in 2020.
This is the Cubana angel lady?
No, this is someone else. And who I won't name because they don't deserve it,
I can dig it.
And they then said that, like, put out on Instagram that it was me. They put out a picture of me.
Ooh.
And said that this was the transgender quote that was in the spa, and we will not stand for this, and we're going to protest the spa. And so that then was picked up by the right-wing news media as, here is a vile trans person, and put me on blast directly. And so, like I literally woke up one day to all this hate mail and death threats, and yeah.
Did they dox you? Like, have your real name and address and all that good stuff?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm a pretty aggressive person. Like, I advocate for self-offense, not self-defense, because
AR-15s for transgender teens is
AR-15s for transgender teens is my album name. I pack heat. I train martial arts, boxing, MMA, Krav Maga, Muay Thai, and so I'm not like a soft target. That said, like, people saying that they're gonna come to your house and shoot you, like, that's not something to fuck with. And so I had to move, and it sucked.
Yeah, they made you move.
Yeah, I had to move, and because it wasn't safe, and yeah.
This is all, and we had a pre-show conversation, so I did know a little bit about this. Sadly, I didn't know about you not being able to play Bar Sinister, which kind of makes me sad. When you do a certain genre of music and you're locked out of it.
Yeah,
I know all too well. There's only one venue I wanted to play in Minneapolis, which is Prince's venue.
Oh shit!
And never could get in, so I definitely know what that's like. But it's frightening when you're starting to get death threats, right? Because online threats of just being mean and calling me names online is one thing. It's another thing you start threatening my life. I have to take you seriously because you're going to know me before I know you.
Yeah, and that's the creepy thing. And I've been public for a while, and so like I log every one that makes threats and like rank the level of menace and severity and risk.
You trying to go to the authorities?
No, I don't fuck with the police. I don't think they would have done anything for me other than make it worse.
Is there a long history of state law enforcement not taking persecution of trans people seriously?
Yes.
I mean, that's self-evident, obviously, by the amount of violence that they.
Yeah. I mean, Pride. Pride was started as a riot against the NYPD. And by trans people, black trans people, and Puerto Rican trans people, if I'm correct, and that continues today. Just a month ago, at Los Angeles Pride Parade, a friend of mine who was like carrying the trans flag, like in the parade, they were chased and beaten on camera by LAPD because the cops said that they had like spat on them. They like spat on the ground, and the cop, freaked out, and like it's on camera. Like everyone is around is horrified as like the cops like chase them and tackle them to the ground and like punch them. So it's like still going on. I think things haven't changed.
I mean, it's definitely hard, especially in the sex worker industry for trans people, especially when it comes to reporting rapes, which is, I mean, I guess you can say for all people in that industry.
Yeah, violence. I read that like NYPD a couple of days ago. I read that NYPD has like just a couple dozen people on their sexual assault teams, but they got hundreds and thousands on like turnstile jumping. Like.
Precious, let me ask you a question. What do you think? I mean, let's be candid. When you see the discourse that we have in America around trans issues and how it's intentionally painted as a flashpoint, a hot button issue without resolution. That's the key part. A hot button issue without resolution. Do you think that the kind of targeting that you experienced is an inevitable goal of that type of framing?
Absolutely. I think the goal, when you frame people's identity as controversial, you're setting them up for elimination and persecution by the general public. Shall we debate if people with a particular belief, a particular manner of perceiving themselves should exist, should be allowed to exist? Should we tolerate this in our society? Of course, some people, even if you ask that question, people were fine before, they're gonna be like, huh, maybe there is something to this. Maybe I should be paying more attention to the trans menace. I absolutely think that it opens the door to that, and it's pretty sad because like there's so much other shit in our nation, in our society that really needs to be questioned. Even things as simple as the how we tax the wealthy. Why the hell are there news cycles going on and on about how people perceive themselves instead of billionaire exploitation, instead of about how Los Angeles still has like hundreds of active oil wells in the middle of neighborhoods,
So do you think that the part of the problem with the framing of trans issues is that it's an intentional deflection from the way in which capitalism disadvantages large segments of American society?
I do think so. I think it is a demonization, boogie manization. There's not that many trans people, and it's kind of like the like Bigfoot or something. You can't quite see it. You don't like like most people don't even know if a friend of theirs is trans, or don't even know a fucking trans person. Don't even know a fucking trans
totally
person. Okay, they don't even know a fucking trans person at all, and they just see and hear about this mysterious monster lurking out there in the pines, right? And the unknown. The known unknowns are a lot scarier to people, I think, than what we know. You know, like if the people living in this neighborhood, if there was a transgender person living there as their neighbor, and they knew, and you know they get along, they're like, okay, dokie, you know. But that's different than like the transgender person lurking out there in the big city, right? You know, waiting to hop into the damn spa and predate on people.
Again, your framing of that, I was going to play a clip of it, but then it's like, nah, it's too much. Because most people that are walking in the spa are kind of looking at this crazy woman that won't stop yelling. And there was a couple women. I think she brings another woman in, and they're like, I saw it. The whole wang. And it's again, it's fascinating that they would think that was going to be the rallying cry to start some sort of real war, if you will. Like, we have to stop these people because they go into high-end spas in Los Angeles and touch shit with their dicks.
Yeah.
And
you know,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, just that whole concept is like so screwed up. Like, I don't know about you, but you know, whenever I'm in the locker room for my entire life, I just want to be left alone. You know, I mean,
you missed you missed my dialogue about being approached in a locker room. I'm terrified of having my cock out in the locker room.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like, you know, even people with breasts, like they want to cover them up, and like, I think that's a deep innate fear that people will get sexually assaulted, you know, when they're nude or in the showers. Like, I mean, the only people that seem to really be okay in the locker room are really old people, I gotta say.
Just talking like that.
You know, they're like,
You know, my fear is not about a sexual assault. I just don't want anybody giggling at my dick.
Yeah.
I'm not, my ego isn't ready to be shattered like that. Be like that scene in the opening of Carrie.
Nice.
But this is, I think this is a important question for me as a touring musician. Again, back to that whole "you know me before I know you" thing, especially in the era of COVID. You're releasing music and not playing live as much, and now you're finally getting back on the road. Your music is getting quite a bit of traction. You have some movie and television placements, which is in 2022. A lot of people may not know this. That's really where you start to blow up. There is no more MTV. Terrestrial radio is dead. It's all placement on a mix or getting on a video game or a movie or TV show. And you have that at this point right now, which is a great position to be in as a up and coming artist, regardless of how long we do it for. We're up and coming until we're famous, right? That means that more people are coming out to see you.
Mm-hmm.
That means all those shows you played to the bartender are becoming no more.
I've done that.
And if you haven't, you're not doing it for real, are you?
That's damn right. You know,
but as the crowds get bigger, I'm sure it has to be more of a concern, because now you're becoming not just known for the music you create, and not even just known for the message that you put out, because ultimately you're always going to be, you want to be, to a degree, preaching to a choir, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fans of your music are coming out. But there's got to be that fear in the back of your head, because you did get all these threats. And if I'm making it worse, please tell me to shut up. That that one person that walks up to you post show and wants to have too much of a conversation is going to be that cat that tries to fuck you up. How does that mess with your head? Are you one of those people that tours with someone so you can end the set and run to the van or run to the green room and not really have to interact with people because there is that kind of deep rooted anxiety of, are you the one that's bold enough to come to this show and try something?
No, I always want to talk to fans, and I want to talk to them so I can make friends, and that's a huge. I mean, a lot of I think a lot of people make music because they want to influence people or change people. However, for me, a good part of it, at least half, is people, my fans, and then my friends. They do influence me very deeply, and being a national musician, I get to meet people from all over, from different social groups, and that's broadened me a great deal as a person. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate them talking with me and sharing with me because I have the opportunity to learn and become someone different. And so I still, I talk to as many fans as I can. I'll tell you this, from the stage, you can see every single person in the room, and you can see every single person's face. I mean, maybe not if you play Madison Square Garden, as I saw someone say in chat, but I'm playing clubs, and I can see everyone, and I do look at everyone in the face to see who the fuck is in the room. I watch people that do come up to the table afterwards. I watch fucking everyone that's there, and I guess that would be called part of my situational awareness practice. It kind of sucks. However, the reality is that even if I wasn't, doing that, if I was totally relaxed, one day something would happen. Even if I wasn't, a notorious transgender menace, like it would still happen. Someone will be very obsessed. I had to have fans that are like really, 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 really fucking into me, and I know things can always flip, but so it's okay. It's okay. I don't want to hide from them. And I also trust my fans to have my back too.
Pascal, do you want to add something?
Well, I mean, it's disturbing to me the way this kind of just unwillingness to leave people alone is turning into a national spectacle and creating the kind of this obscene and absurd politics that we're dealing with in this country.
Yeah.
That where a person like yourself has to get victimized for absolutely no damn good reason. And what's tragic is that not only is that the case, but everyone is going to be suffering about this because this kind of politics is used, as we just said, to really distract from the issues of how the material conditions of people's lives are being made miserable by people who are, the puppet masters and the lords of capital. Not that these issues are not relative in of themselves, but still, it's really a sick. Like, there's no honesty. There's no intellectual honesty in these conversations at all. Like, what exactly do you want? Do you want to legislate that we can kill trans people for being trans? Is that what you want? Like, what do you want? That these people should not be able to function anywhere in society. They should be locked up at sight.
Well, let me ask you this. Here's and if you don't, again, if the framing of this is off, then let me know. Touring means you're pulling over in some little towns. And I think when we're having a conversation on the phone, I might have said something. I don't remember. I was talking to someone else about touring as well. It's like, stay away from your navigation. Get a map, because I don't like driving through highways. Because when you drive on a highway, maybe people don't know this, in the United States, when you drive on a highway, highways end. And they end in a town. So the speed limit goes from like 70, 75 to 30. And there's speed traps. And they're looking for out-of-state plates. And it is very, very uncomfortable. Also, when you're driving and you're driving on a highway at night, when you drive through the little town to go try to find a bathroom to pee in, it can be very unsettling. That's why I stay on, as much as I can, interstates, because you're going to be in larger truck stops where there's always going to be a McDonald's 24 hours where people just don't care. Walmarts are going to be easier to find. Again, Walmarts are so massive, people don't care. As a trans woman, I know you're driving all night, right? Is that a fear for you, the whole bathroom thing, or is it pretty chill and no one really cares at 4 a.m?
It's always sucked. Like, even before like I came out, to the world as trans, like, I look like this, right? And unless I talk or something, when all the time, whenever I walked into the men's bathroom, like, men would do like do the double take. And so that was always sucked, standing, at the fucking urinal, and like they're fucking staring at you or washing your hands. That's always been really awkward. And I'm nervous. Like, if I'm passing, then maybe I use the women's bathroom. Otherwise, I use the men's bathroom, because just because I feel it's safer. And but I'm worried about that. Like, there's lots of femme men identifying people out there, but still, like, I may get fucking confronted in the bathroom. I expect to, out in some rest stop. And like, do I fucking have to stab a motherfucker in at the urinal? Like, is that like what it's all about?
No, I mean, I asked that question because I was thinking about you when you called. The dad in me got worried. You're an adult and you did it before, but just the dad in me goes like, okay, well, I hope Precious is gonna stay on. I know where she's going, so I hope she stays on the interstate. I know where she's playing. I hope she doesn't go off, because there's some parts of Oregon that are frightening. I don't think people understand the Northwest is pretty red outside of the major metropolitan areas. And from LA to Portland is probably 12 hours, 15 hours. And that means you have to hit all the red of California, which is the Central Valley, and then the northern part. And then you have to hit all of the red of Oregon, which is southern and central Oregon. I think you actually said you're not going to play certain parts of central Oregon anymore.
Yeah, I played Salem before, and Medford, I think. And I mean, unless like I got a big venue and security, I'm not going to do it. It's not worth it. And it's a shame, because those parts of the country like are fucking beautiful. Southern Oregon's incredible. Eastern Oregon is like mind-blowing.
Oh, I won't stop there. You're a better person than me.
Oregon as a state has a very, very reactionary history in terms of the origins of the state.
Fuck yeah.
Not to like harp on like white settler colony, but it was literally founded as a colony.
Oh shit!
As a clan outpost, man.
Oh shit!
You know, that was in the
And,
night. It was 95 when I don't remember the year, 93 or 95, when Portland was on the cover of Time magazine for being the capital of white supremacist violence. So the
Holy shit.
Northwest is as someone that has traveled too many times around this beautiful country. You know, one thing Precious is talking about is very true. Some of the more beautiful drives. Like, I love the drive leaving Spokane into eastern Washington. You get to those Cascade Mountains going through northern Idaho and western Montana. It's gorgeous. But I also know that this is like a haven for hate.
Wow.
Yeah. It's real. Like, you know, people talk about like balkanization of the U.S. and I mean, already I don't think it's like it's really questionable for a lot of people in a lot of places, and I don't think I don't think it's just started either. You know, what you said about
It's a process.
Yeah, it's been ongoing. Like the shit, like in the small towns with 15-mile-per-hour speed limits. Like, you know, I've been racially profiled in northeastern California, Modoc County. I was up there. I was I was mining rainbow obsidian for my birthday. That's what I was doing. There's rainbow obsidian in them hills, and I was mining the rainbow obsidian. I'm serious, with a fucking pickaxe. And so I got my car full of rainbow obsidian, and I stop at a gas station and like to get some food and gas. Cop walks in. I'm like, okie dokie. I even hold the fucking door for him. And I check out. You know, I pull out of the gas station, and right the fuck after me he comes and pulls me over. He walks up to the car with his hand on his gun. And so get this, I was with someone, and so he's like, license and registration, and he said, looked over at the other person, and he's like, I need to see your ID too. And you know, there's no obligation for that. However, like she gave him the ID because like we don't even have cell phone service, right?
Yeah.
And this fucking bastard knows it, and his hands on his gun. What am I gonna do? I actually had like, I mean, seriously, like that's like worst case scenario. And, gave me a $300 ticket for a tail light bulb that was out.
Wow. And you had to go back and pay it.
I was able to go to court and no, I didn't have to go back. I think I just mailed the check. But yeah, that shit's real. And
I remember getting pulled over in, I couldn't remember the name of the city. It's some little ass place, Pascal, little ass place in Washington State, in like the center of the state, which is not where you want to be. And we played a wine bar, and my ex and I didn't drink. Didn't drink, don't do drugs, didn't even like people smoking pot around us, because we're like, look, we're going to get pulled over. We're going to get pulled over. There is no if. We're going to get pulled over. And if they smell weed on us, we're asking for trouble. So please. So we saw the cop, and they were waiting for us because the town was so small that they knew there was a show from some out of towners. So the cop was waiting like kitty corner across the street, and we got in our car and we pulled off, and my ex was driving. She knew to drive. I didn't have a license. I drove without a license around the country for like 5 years. Just, you know, just asking for trouble. Right. So she gets like, I'll drive us out of town, and then you can finish the drive. Right.
Yeah.
And as soon as we pull off, the cop hits the siren, you know, does the thing, asked me for my ID first, and I'm in the passenger seat. And we're like, is there a problem, officer? He's like, well, I just smelled wine on you. Word? Like, of course, he does the whole drink. I've been drinking, and but I was like, how did you smell wine on us from your car across the street? And his excuse was, well, the place smells like wine, and I guess the wine gets on your clothes, and there's a strong scent of wine that I smelled from across the street. Jesus,
bro should be a fucking sommelier with that nose. Like, holy shit.
But there's we could sit here for hours and tell tons of those stories of bullshit stops and pullovers, especially when you look like the out of towner. Like I don't think I look like an out of towner, but lo and behold, real life reminds me that I'm the out of towner. So overall, when you stop, and also please stay away from rest stops. Those are the scariest places in the world.
Yeah.
I won't stop at one.
I go
truck stops.
Yeah, if I can. I mean, I will do the rest stops, or I won't stay there. I won't stay there. I was on I forget the interstate, but it was between Nashville and I was driving to Houston, and so there was a rest stop, and like I'm fucking tired, and so I pull over, and I go to sleep, and of course I'm get the knock on the window by the cop and being like, you can't sleep here, and I don't even know where I was. I was somewhere in between something and something, and I had to go through the whole license and registration thing, and they cited me, and yeah, no more.
No,
that's the whole purpose of the rest stop.
Trust me, Pascal, rest stops is not where it's at. Keep it moving past rest stops.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, I'm
it's
sure
not
that
okay.
you had to deal with this, Precious, and I really, I can tell you, I'm glad that you've trained yourself to protect yourself physically, but I can understand how psychologically this is becoming a toll after a period of time, over and over again. And I just, I'd like to see us be able to come to a place where we can get beyond this political moment, where this is made the butt of such a really dark politics that's not going to come to any kind of conclusion for anyone. It's going to be helpful.
Yeah, it's a shame because like the fascists, that were protesting trans existence at WeSpa last year, none of them were billionaires, and probably none of them were millionaires, and they all of them are victims of the class war as well. And instead of going out and like reclaiming wealth for the people, we'll say, they were out there protesting and attacking trans people for what the hell does that get them? It gets them nothing.
Right.
It gets them nothing. It doesn't make their damn lives better. I don't like feeling sympathetic for them. However, what you said, like we're all under the damn bus. We're all under the damn bus, and it's too bad. It's too bad.
Well, on a happier note, let's leave here on a happier note. You're touring.
I am
playing again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm jealous. Right? I'm stuck here in Mexico, not playing and breaking shit and yelling at people every night like you get to do. How's the tour going so far?
It's going great. It's going great. The crowds have been strong, and and I'm really pleased. I've this full length album, AR-15s for Transgender Teens. It was really well received, and the streaming numbers have been great, and people connect with it, which is everything. I've got a second show in Portland tonight. That's going to be an illegal show underneath a highway overpass, and so that should be fun.
It'll probably be a
Be fun.
blast.
Yeah.
Generator shows are fun as fuck. Generator shows are fun as fuck. Well, I don't have to tell you twice to be careful. I definitely will have my dad-like worry in the back of my head, as I know you're traversing through some of the more dangerous yet fun parts of America. Are you going to Canada at all? Are you going across any borders like that?
No, I'm not.
Dang it, Pascal.
I'm gonna hit Canada in September and October, and I don't think I'm gonna do it, but I mean like Eastern Canada, Ottawa and Toronto and New York City. I'm doing East Coast in those months. I got a new album. I got to plug.
You got to plug the new album.
Yeah, a new EP out July 27th. It is called Violence. It's called Violence.
Like VIO-Lens. Like 80s metal band.
Oh, they would love that. They'd be like, it's our payday. Lawsuit. Yes. Our exit strategy. Fine. Finally, someone has infringed on our trademark. It's called Violence, and I've got a track on it called I Kneel with My Knees on the Knife that is dedicated to the anti-fascists and human rights activists that showed up at WeSpa for gender rights in 2021. Gender rights and human rights. And that was, touched me extremely deeply and gave me a faith in humanity, seriously, that I never had. I didn't know people would be willing to stand up against hate and risk their bodies. 2 people were stabbed at WeSpa at those protests. 40 people were arrested. And I will never forget that. I will never forget that they felt that people deserve to be able to perceive themselves how they want to perceive themselves, and that other people can be kind and respectful of that. And so that track, I Kneel with My Knees on the Knife, is dedicated to them. And out July 27th.
All right.
And we are posting links to your music in the chat.
Cool beans.
Precious Child definitely has a Spotify page. There'll be links to Precious's Spotify page as well in the description of the show when this becomes an audio podcast on Wednesday. This will be audio only Wednesday as well. So Precious, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pascal. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. I hope we weren't too penetrating with the questions.
No, it's real. It's real shit. So.
All right.
Well, definitely give the show some non-copyrighted music, because if I play your copyrighted shit, regardless if you give me permission, they'll take it down.
Yeah. I realize that. I'll work on that.
Thank you very much, Precious.
Have a good one. Cheers.
Hey, kick ass rest of the tour.
Will do.
That was Precious Child, recording artist. Conversation went a little deep.
Yes, it did.
That was dope.
I hope she's. What do you think, Toussaint?
That was dope. Well done. I mean, take that, other podcast.
That other podcast.
You did when you zag, bitches.
it hits me in a certain place because I know what it's. I toured for years with just one other woman,
Yeah.
right? And I've heard some vile things be thrown at that woman, and it makes you really angry, and you want to fight, and you have to ask yourself, is this really where I want to have a fight? Me against all of, bumfuck nowhere?
Exactly.
Is it worth it? So I can mildly understand. I can't fully understand. I can't even begin to fully understand. But I think she'll be okay, and I'm glad that the crowds are turning out for her. That's all we ask for when we do this music, right? Can people show up and hear my message? So I'm glad that she's getting some good crowds.
Well, all right.
And on that note,
teens for transgender teens.
and the new record dropping July 27th. She said July 27th, right?
Yep.
That's correct.
Violence. So since Precious knows who Violence the band is, I'm gonna have to hit her up. Dude, talk 80s metal. Maybe we'll bring Precious back on and have a whole 80s metal conversation that Pascal can have a day off. We'll be like, Pascal, you get the day off. We're gonna talk about music that you hate.
I actually don't hate metal. I find it interesting. It's just not. I'm not a connoisseur.
I can be. I also thought it was sad that she can't play the one big goth club in LA.
I think that's not. I didn't want to interrogate into why that is, but I get a sense that with you entertainers, there's always one of those places for you guys.
There's places you want to get into, right? For various reasons. Like, oh, I just want to play 7th Avenue because Prince owned it. It's not like it's a great spot, right? But there's places that can make or break you for the genre of music that you do. And for her, she's more into that scene or scene adjacent than I think I was with the band I was doing. I was trying to get more into other spots in LA, not Bar Sinister. But it's not even that big of a spot. But I get the frustration of not being able to play there. There's validity.
She's in the chat. Sorry, I'm unreasonably excited. You know how I feel about chat already.
But yeah, I thought that was kind of shitty. And then you get to the point, like me personally, as Toussaint found out the other day, if a venue doesn't want me, even if it's a venue I really want to get in, fuck it, then I'll never need to play there ever. Ever. Fuck them. Am I like that with guests too? You'll never know.
Your shirt is killing me.
Eat a bowl of fuck.
That's what we say.
Oh my God! Knew it. New one's here.
Venues that won't book us and guests that don't get back. That's my response in my head all the time. We didn't need you anyway.
You got to give him drop suggestions, Pascal.
Yeah, with clean language.
Yes.
Well, I think the cleanest language drop is.
You'd be surprised how many people love to crack.
Jesus Christ.
Right? Wouldn't you be surprised?
You'd be surprised.
I'll work on it with Pascal. It'll be good.
Is it? You know what drop I keep forgetting to get is Good Times. Esther Roll. Damn.
Oh, we don't get caught with a copyright strike for that one.
Nah, it's less than 10 seconds.
Okay.
Bill O'Reilly, put that pipe down and get my.
That's a
Doctor
funny
says
one.
Pascal is well mannered. Can we get a Rick James drop? What's a good Rick James drop?
I don't know.
Unity. I shared a Rick James video with Pascal and Teray yesterday, and Pascal responded with a comment that made me drop my phone and start crying with laughter. I won't repeat what he said, but it was the funniest thing.
Okay.
Because I read it in Pascal's voice too.
That face. A concoction of emotions, a whole cocktail.
Well, Toussaint, thank you very much for sticking around. Unlike Marcus
Mm-hmm.
and fucking Stefan.
Right. My hair is cooler than both of theirs put together.
You actually do have really cool hair.
Thank you.
Speaking of natural colored people hair, it is very nice.
Appreciate it.
It looks like a 1978 Afro Sheen commercial. Nice.
I've never been good at that. Like, it's never like super round and perfect. I know it's a very engineered hairstyle, but like, yeah, it's
But
never
it
going to be
looks
perfectly round.
it looks it's very well put together. Pascal doesn't know what I'm talking about, and that's fine. He will find out sooner than later.
Probably sooner.
And
On that note,
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna say it? Toussaint, say it.
We are out.